Welcome everybody to First United Spiritualist Church Tuesday night healing service. I'm very happy and excited to have Rickie Avitan leading our healing service tonight. It's going to be a beautiful and deep topic, grief and suicide. So I'm excited to dive into that, get some deep healing for some pertinent issues and challenges that the world is facing right now. Before we start on our gathering, I'll just go over the announcements for the church. Following our healing service at 8:30, we have Development Circle with Mike Takuna, who is with us tonight. And then on Thursday, Divine Love Circle with Raphael and Rickie. Saturday is the very popular Crystal Light Psychic Fair, which is on Zoom as well. Details on that event and all the other events can be found on the church's website, firstunitedspirit.ca. The Sunday morning service at 11 a.m. is with Scottish mediums Norma and Jill. Our evening service at 7:30 p.m. is with Lynn White. And then a week from now, the Tuesday night healing service at 7:30 is with Neville Kim Singh, followed by Development Circle with Rickie Avitan. So everyone is invited to join as many events as they like. We can all have a full week of Rickie Avitan with us. And before we do the opening prayer, I'd love to invite everybody to join me in sitting in silence for a few moments, just to really land in this healing space, to let go of the busyness of the mind, to relax and to start opening fully to the healing energy that's here. Then we'll flow straight into the opening prayer. Divine Spirit, thank you so much for the beautiful healing energy here tonight, for this gathering, calling together of the loving hearts with common intention of healing and love and light. Feeling so much love and gratitude for Rickie and all the ways that she shows up for humanity, all the ways that she gives and offers of her heart. And I'm so looking forward to the powerful healing tonight. May we really sink into and fully open to the space tonight and allow ourselves to feel the embrace and the support of love, as if we were resting on gentle, soft, solid, grounded pillows of love, just fully feeling the support of your love and light and your presence with us, letting ourselves be nourished, deeply nourished and cared for and feeling the connection with the others in our circle tonight, and the connection with the greater church community, and for all those around the world that stand up for and show up for love, show up for their other fellow humans, show up for humanity. It's in the showing up for each other that we show up for ourselves. And during our week, for any moments that we feel low in energy, help remind us to take a moment to reconnect and feel the loving healing space that's so potent in our gathering tonight. Thank you so much for all the blessings that you give us in life, for all the ways that you show up for us, for your eternal, ever-present, beautiful healing presence. Much love and gratitude. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me in prayer. So wonderful to gather like this. And I'm so happy to introduce Rickie, a very powerful trance medium who has really given so much to our church and to all those that she comes across in life. Thank you, Rickie.
Thank you very much, Manalai, for a beautiful introduction and a beautiful moments of silence and a very powerful prayer. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and it's really wonderful to be here with you today. The topic today, it's actually was inspired. As a medium recently, I have been seeing families, loved ones who are coming in and their loved one have committed suicide. So, and the grief that they go through and how they move through the emotions of grief. And so today it's about how to deal for those who left behind, the families, loved ones, friends, how to deal and how to move through those emotions. And it's not necessarily that someone have lost someone to a suicide this past few days. This can take on for years. I have met a family who their loved one passed away years ago, 10 years ago. And it's as acute as the day of. So I was really inspired to talk about it. It's a quite, not an easy topic. It's a topic when you hear about it, you just want to change the subject. People don't want to talk about suicide, but it's necessary. It's necessary. So Crisis Canada tells us that about 4,000 people die by suicide in Canada every year. For every death, there are estimated 25 attempts. So before someone is successful, there are 25 times that they have attempted. An average of 275 people attempt suicide each year. 11 people die daily by suicide in Canada. And 7 to 10 people will permanently be affected by the loss. And suicide accounts for 24% of death among 15 to 24-year-old living in Canada. So that's a statistics, and we're very much hearing a lot about suicide recently. It's just as pandemic can be. So the focus of today will be about how to move through the emotion of a family, a loved one who have experienced someone within their life, within their environment, within their knowing, who have successfully a suicide attempt. Life is taken by suicide. There is no easy prescription to recover from a loss. From a normal loss. What is a normal loss? Someone died, expected to die, long illness, and so forth. So people will tell you, you have to go through life. It will get easier. It will get better. You are strong and brave. Get stronger for your children. And all of these encouraging words that people are telling those people who are suffering from loss, who are experiencing loss, But when we look at grief, grief itself is overwhelming. And now on top of grief, you're adding on a loss by suicide, which is particularly complicated. So you've got your grief, and now you're adding on a loss by suicide. So survival of loss by suicide is facing such a painful emotion. And so they have to cope with the mess of the complicated emotion. Lots of them. There's guilt, there's anger, there's shame, confusion, and of course, the stigma that goes along suicide. Some people will move on and do some psychotherapy and move through all different kind of modality, and some people will just keep quiet and will just be with that within themselves. There is no really right or wrong way to grieve. It is very personal. There is no perfect words that can ease this pain for those who left behind. So the following is taken from a guide of how to deal afterwards for those who are left behind, how to deal with it. Understanding that your loved one suicide is not your fault. It is your number one. Many think it is my fault. If I could just pick up the phone, if I could just answer the phone, if I could just be there, if I could just do X or Y. Why did I yell at my son? I shouldn't have yelled at him. If I should have just paid more attention, and so on and so forth. And all of this, my fault. There's a lot of self-blame that goes along with a family who left behind, or a loved one, or a friend. The most important is to remember that these difficult, intrusive thoughts are not accurate. They are not accurate. Those thoughts don't paint the complete picture. It is the emotion, is the thought that arising within the person who left behind. What if I could have? So if we would encourage you to remember those very simple sentences, I am not responsible for my loved one's suicide. Write it down, remember it, text it, whichever way. I am not responsible for my loved one suicide. And that will help to refocus the perception of how we see self within this complex situation. And so if you realize and make a list of how much have we supported that person throughout, have we spent time with them? Have we spent time in conversation? Have we driven them to the doctor office? Have we spent nights and nights on listening? So reflect back and think about and look at all the support that you have given to that person throughout, and that will help. Also remember, depression is often an invisible illness. Depression is this invisible illness. So many people simply go about their day, live their life in a silent, fighting a silent battle. Fighting a silent battle that there are almost no physical symptoms to it. And this is beyond anybody's control. We want to be aware that if you know someone who their loved one has they experienced suicide in their life, there might be a period of shock, literally shock. And this period of shock that can make every daily task a challenge, eating, bathing, sleeping, getting out of bed, speaking, visiting, all of it become extreme challenge. Anything with daily activity, it's become almost non-existent. The person will just want to sleep all day. Neglect, isolation, losing weight. Their physical defense mechanism began to go down because they're not eating, they're not sleeping. There is no relief to the mental anguish. And so shock can make this very daily activities that we take for granted. We can just go to the fridge, grab something, make food. For the people who have experienced suicide in their life of their loved one, that to get up from bed and go to the fridge or go to the kitchen can be a huge chore, an absolute extreme chore. So how can we help? How can we help? We can pick up the phone, we can visit, we can be there. Even if the person does not want to be a burden and say, no, I don't want anything, don't visit me. Please take that step. Cook a dinner for them, make a meal, make the grocery shopping. Can I walk your dog? Can I take you to the doctor's office? I care about you. Let's listen to what we have to say. So how do we find a coping and how do we face a loss by a suicide? So is there any right time that we can start asking for help? Any right time that that person will have experienced someone in their life that have passed to a suicide, that died to a suicide. So the truth is that it's never too soon to seek for support. We want to look for support. We want to reach out. And it's not always a simple task. It is not a simple task. So the people who are supporting a friend that can have a little bit of encouragement to help that person reach a support. So what kind of support do we have? We can have the physician. We can have a psychologist, psychiatrist, counselors. We can have our clergy. If the person belongs to a church, to a synagogue, to a temple, many of those people are certified in counseling, and they can hook you up with other resources. But at times, it's just enough because there is already a relationship between you and your rabbi, you and your priest. So there is already an existing relationship, and hopefully a relationship of trust, that there can be a conversation and a beginning of an opening up. So you can write down, who is there for me? Who can help me? Who can I reach out to? So at the moment where there is absolute no energy, you have that list of people that you can just phone, just to say, hi, I am here. I need you to hear me. I need someone. I need you to visit me. So have that list of people that you can call at that moment. Have that list handy. Accept your emotion. Acknowledge and accept your emotion, feeling of sadness, extreme sadness. A loss of a suicide can trigger multiple myriads of feelings. Anger, as we talked about, guilt, shame, loneliness, shock, confusion. Sometimes relief, which can trigger that emotion of guilt and so on. So all of these feelings are expected, and remember the stigma that goes along suicide. If someone shot themselves, if someone hanged themselves, if someone jumped over the bridge, if someone jumped in the middle of the highway, it's very difficult to talk about it. It's easier to say they passed with cancer or a heart attack, but when it comes to a very complicated way of ending life, it is very, very challenging for that person to talk about. So seeking out help to those who have experienced similar experiences, such as other survivors of suicide groups. So suicide can be very difficult to understand when people have not experienced that. So other survivors of suicide, of loss by suicide, you can have a common language. You can talk about that. And it's really, really important to look at the stigma that's surrounding suicide. It's a very, very strong stigma. So when we sit in a company and people are aware that this person have experienced a loss to a suicide in their life, talk about it rather than put it under the blanket. Bring it out to the table. That's where it helps healing. So you want to use word like died by suicide rather than committed suicide. Died by suicide, right? Use the word suicide attempt rather than failed. He failed, or he's crying out for help. He already tried it 20 times. We hear that. People say that. Oh, he's just crying out wolf. 20 times he already done that. Well, we said 25 attempts until successful in Statistics Crisis Canada. So use suicide attempt rather than failed suicide or successful suicide. Share your story. Sharing is healing. So those who are you trusting within your community, friends or family, talk about it. It's really important to unpack it. And those who can listen will listen. Listening here is really, really important. Unfortunately, there is a very high prevalence of suicide in men. Very high prevalence, 77.97%. And men don't talk. So men who are experiencing depression, drug and alcohol, losing a relationship, a divorce, unemployment, they don't talk. So it's a silent. And so we need to pay attention if we know that there is a man in our life, or when we know that he's a high risk, we need to pay attention because we might be able to save that life. Remember, suicide is not, and I really want everybody to take this in the right context. Suicide is not running away. It is, I can't do this battle anymore. It is not someone who does not care about themselves. It is too painful to deal with it. I fought and I fought and I fought for years, like a cancer patient. Fought and fought and fought. They had cancer therapy, they have radiation, they have chemotherapy. and then they die. So the people who have taken their life to suicide, they fought for years before they taken that step. So we need to recognize that. We truly need to recognize that. So when you notice that there is a man in your life, or someone that you know, that there is a high risk, bring it to the table. Talk about it. Talk about it openly. You might just be that one to save that person's life, because you might just be the one that person, that man can open up to you and speak about what's going on in their life, how depressed they are. And then you can open that conversation. Okay? So help a friend. Help a friend who lost love to suicide. Express your concern. I care about you. I'm here for you. Let's talk. Be direct. Don't ring around the rosy. Be direct. Tell them, I care. Let's talk about this. Let's bring it out to the table. Tell me what happened. Tell me what's going on in your life. Have you eaten? You have lost a lot of weight. You haven't been sleeping for days. Bring it out to the table. Talk about it. Talk about it. And that will encourage that person to come out. They don't have, remember the stigma. Remember the stigma that goes along with suicide. So particularly, again, as I say, shooting, jumping, and all of this, hanging, all of this, no one wants to talk about it, but you can, and that's your friend. You can help to bring it out. Empathize, reflect the feeling. How can I help you? Offer to help and support. Listen. Listen is one of the most therapeutic way to help someone who might be contemplating suicide and someone who have experienced a loss to suicide in their life. Should you know, or you experiencing any, there is suicide prevention lifeline, and I'm going to read this number: 1-833-4564-566, 1-833-4564-566. Texting 45645, and it's available, and you can look up at Crisis Canada. It is a very heavy topic, but it's an important topic to talk about, because no one wants to talk about this. And so the people who have experienced someone in their life who have experienced a loss have very barely anyone to share this monster that they're carrying. I have experienced in the past 6 months as a medium something I have not experienced ever. Almost everyone who walk into my home have experienced someone who have a loss to suicide. And so we talk about it beyond the mediumship part. Yes, the loved one who have took their life to suicide, with suicide coming true, but then we talk about this afterwards. We have a conversation, and that's the therapeutic part of it. And one told me for 10 years she has not grieved. She could not. 10 years. And came to my home and we had a discussion. We booked an hour, and it ended up being 2.5 hours. A conversation that begin the process for healing. So you might be that person. You might be that person. So let us take a deep breath and just move into that space of healing now. Let's just relax ourselves and maybe just pray that this pandemic can be overcome with love of the Creator, with love for each other and support for one another. So let us close our eyes as I'm going to ask the Great Spirit, God, the angels and the ministries, the angels of all around us, Gabriel and Michael and Raphael, to join us, to raise the vibration, to eradicate the conditions that influencing our mind and covering our soul, to eradicate those conditions and uplift the vibration of light, of love, of upliftment. And I'd like you to become aware of your breath and breathing into your solar plexus. Every breath you take into your solar plexus is the space between your solar plexus become expansive. And you're noticing this grain of light, a spark of light within the space of your solar plexus, moving all your attention into this grain of light. All your focus, all your attention into this grain of light within the solar plexus. And as you're breathing in, you're expanding this grain of light. And this light begin to spread throughout your body, releasing any tension effortlessly. Releasing any discomfort, any pain in the physical parts. And this light begin to fill your chest cavity, penetrating your heart, clearing and releasing any emotional discomfort, letting go of sadness as the light filling up your heart, sadness being released, the pain of loss and grief release. Your heart is being filled with light, God light, love light, ease light, peace light, harmony light. Let your heart be in one with the rhythm of your heartbeat. And the light be one with the rhythm of your heartbeat. Allow this light to expand beyond your physical body. Merge into the universe. Expand your light. Become one with God. God light. Raise your vibration higher and higher, lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter. Higher and higher, lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter, until there is absolute no sensation of the physical body. You are light. You are love. You are a child of God. Lighter and lighter, brighter and brighter. No discomfort, no pain, no stress, no worries. You are light. You are love. You are part of God. Be the light. Letting go. Release all that holds you back. Realize all your experiences. Realize your strength and courage to wake up in the morning upon a new day, thanking God for giving you another day to live, to breathe, to be in the physical experience. Slowly become aware of that light, the grain of light coming smaller and smaller into your solar plexus, settling within, experiencing the light, the love, the life, the gift given to you from God. Become aware of your breath, breathing in and breathing out, and sending a prayer to all those who have lost their life to suicide. Sending a prayer. Send them love. A prayer to all those loved ones in the physical who are struggling. Send them prayer. May they be free of any affliction. May they be free of suffering. May they be free of anguish. May they be happy. May they be peaceful. May they be happy. And slowly open your eyes when you're ready. It will be wonderful. Is everybody's back? Those that don't have their video on, if anyone wants to share their thoughts, that would be wonderful. Sharing is caring. Anything about the topic, that would be wonderful. Carl, do you want to share?
I'll pass for now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Harbinder. It's a heavy topic.
Oh yeah, I experienced it because my father, he had depression and was diabetic. It was an older age, but it really got to him too. And yeah, it was a difficult time over the years. It took a long time, but there's still some residue of that as well. I mean, he tried to commit suicide, but apparently he had a massive heart attack prior to having it. So yeah, so in a way, I think he was saved in a way. That's
Have
what
you
I was
spoken about it over the years? Have you had a conversation?
Yeah, I'm pretty open with it. I'm not too afraid of telling anyone. I mean, it's a taboo for Indians,
Yes.
for us to say things like that, especially when it comes in the family and stuff like that. But I'm not afraid of that anymore because I think it needs to be talked about.
Yes.
Because I've seen people who are going through it as well, or I can sense that they're going through it, even now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you can, if there is a sense, we can reach out and open it up. And it's just by opening it up, it can actually save a life.
Yeah.
And it create healings for yourself who somehow experienced it somehow, and for that person that you're feeling that there is maybe a thought. So we don't want to say, oh, I think you want to commit suicide. Oh no, but just check in. How are you feeling? Is anything you want to share? What's going on with your life? I've noticed you haven't come to the church anymore. I haven't seen you for months. What's happening? Oh, I've noticed you lost a lot of weight. So you open the door to open that conversation. Simple opening of that door.
Sometimes even the most spiritual of people can be bombarded so much that that takes a toll on them as well. And they always sometimes even they look for a way out. Sometimes you just can't fix your situation. You don't always see the light at the end of the tunnel.
It's not about, if I hear you correctly, Carl, that you're saying that spiritual people can be overwhelmed as well. Is that what you're saying? And for those spiritual people, there is no way out when they are overwhelmed. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean even people that aren't always spiritual, sometimes you can try and try and try, and you can just be overwhelmed every day, day in, day out, and figure of speech, you don't always see a light at the end of the tunnel, and there's just only one option that people find. I'm just saying.
So I hear what you're saying. I hear you. And so in where are you? So in those situations, we may want to reach to a higher level. And what I mean by that, a physician, a psychiatrist, someone who does have the tools and the skills to deal with a person who is feeling is very close to that place of taking on life. Because it's painful. And so reaching out, instead of reaching out to a friend, which is wonderful, but a friend can give you a certain level. So you want to go and reach out to those who have the skills. First step is a GP. Talk to the GP. This is what's going on for me. He may refer you to someone else. There are crisis lines that are specifically Suicide Prevention Canada. That's their expertise. That's what they do. They know the language. They know how to recognize it. That's what they do. When you come to me as a medium, that's what I do. I know what to do. So that's what they do, is to reach out to those places which that's their expertise, and they can be the support when that person feels there's nothing you can do for me anymore. Yes, there is. Maybe we can change the situation, the conditions that you are living in, but can change the perception and the emotion to get support. So there is always a place to go to before we reach out to that last finale. And that's what I want to say. Go to the GP. Pick up the phone to the crisis line. Maybe speaking to a friend is not enough at this moment. I have been tell yourself, I have been dealing with this for a long time. I have reached the end. I have reached the end. There's no further place for me to go. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Pick up the phone. Call that number I called up. We can write it down in the chat book, in the chat room. Crisis Canada. Suicide Prevention Crisis Canada. There is a number right there.
I can speak about my story because I ended up in the hospital in October 2019 after my dad passed away, and it wasn't an easy step for me to take. There was a intervention by a good group of development circle girls that I was sitting with. Yeah, they basically were like, look, one of them was a psych nurse, and she's like, I can feel the way that you're feeling, and she's like, I want to take you to the hospital, because I told her that I had the ideation of stepping out in front of traffic. So yeah, that was, for me, ended up in going to the hospital, being assessed, and from there is where, for me, I felt like the true help started to begin. In all fairness too, you have to fight for yourself, but yeah, like if you feel like it's at that point, don't be afraid to reach out to these supports, and if you need to end up in the hospital saying like, look, I'm at the end of, like Rickie said, I'm at the end and there's no other options for me. I need your help. I know that if you're in Burnaby General is where I ended up. There's also Vancouver Mental Health Access Center on West 12th in Vancouver that I ended up going to as well. And I ended up getting support there. But yeah, like I said, there's always places that you can go if you feel like you are at the end. It can be extremely scary and frightening. For me, it was like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, I was kind of like, this isn't, I just need to get up and continue and go to work tomorrow and, just keep pushing forward. Yeah, it's a hard decision, but yeah, if you're feeling that way, it's worthy, and reach out. Like, I'm a practicing counselor. If there's anybody here that, needs somebody to go with them on that journey and to reach out and to be that person that sits with you through that experience, I'll leave my number in the chat, and I would be more than blessed to be able to help you start that journey if anybody here feels like they're at the end.
Thank you, Bianca. That's very generous. Very mighty.
I know what it's like.
That's very mighty generous of you. I think this sharing is very, very valuable. And I want to ask everybody permission, if it's okay for us to leave this sharing and not to cut it. Do we have a hands up? Because I think this sharing is really, really important for other people to hear. Because normally we cut down the sharing part. You're good with that? Manila, if you're comfortable with that. Betty?
Yes, I don't know exactly what you meant by that.
The sharing period, this sharing that we do now.
Yes.
Are you talking about the recording, Rickie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what you're asking is that the sharing be left in the recording.
Correct.
And
Thank
everybody
you.
here is comfortable with that.
Yes.
Yes, I think it's really important. There were some really valuable pieces that were shared here. Very valuable, and I think it's important for other people to hear this. People who are feeling, I can't take another step. Yes, you can. Because maybe your friend or your wife or your husband are not hearing you anymore, and that they're not the right person to talk to, but there is a professional that are specializing in that. So thank you very much for giving this opportunity for this very, very difficult conversation, extremely difficult conversation, but it's on the table. It's on the table and it's taking place. Yes.
I'd like to say something.
Yes, Betty.
The points that you brought up tonight and the subject, although it's one that we sort of steer away from, it was really important, and I'm really glad that you picked this topic tonight, because I'm going to when the recording comes on Facebook, on our Facebook page, I'm really going to recommend that people listen to what you had to say tonight, because you touched on some really, really powerful points. And Bianca and Harbinder and Carl, it's so good to hear what you shared and experienced. And I think that this can help so many other people. So I'm really grateful to you tonight, Rickie, for choosing this topic.
Thank you very much. It's as I said, that's what I'm seeing these past 6 months. So we need to talk about this. We as a society need to talk about this so people can feel comfortable to reach out. Both those who have lost loved one to suicide and those who are contemplating suicide. We need to talk about this in our society. We can't hide it because it's on the table. Thank you very much for listening and being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rickie. It's been a really powerful evening, and thank you for everybody who's shared. It felt like a really sacred time of sharing. We are at 8:25, so we have 5 minutes left before Development Circle. I'm really feeling to give a really short closing prayer just to bring our circle to an energetic close.
You were wonderful.
Join me in
Thank you.
prayer. Divine Spirit, thank you so much for the beauty and the courage tonight, for the sharing, for Rickie opening up this deep topic. May we take the blessings and the feel of love and abundant support from this healing service and feel energized and grounded. May we take this energy into our daily week and life, and just know that as humans, we all go through similar challenges, and that we're here for each other, and we feel for each other, and just to feel all the support that is available. With much love and gratitude. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Blessings, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Development Circle tonight is with Mike DeCuna. So everyone is very much invited to stay for that.
And Rickie and Manila, I am going to send you both a text to book you for August for a healing circle. Okay? Bye.
Thank you. Oh,
You're still recording?